The reign of Bashar al-Assad has come to an end. After clinging to power for over a decade of brutal civil war, the Syrian dictator fled his nation on December 7, 2024, his destination unknown. His departure follows a lightning offensive spearheaded by a coalition of Syrian rebel groups who now control the capital city of Damascus. Assad's fall marks a turning point in a conflict that has shattered Syria, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives and displacing millions more. The final offensive began in late November 2024. A coalition of rebel groups known as Operations Room to Conquer Damascus swept across western Syria, capturing key cities like Homs and Aleppo. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a former al-Qaeda affiliate that has sought to rebrand itself in recent years, played a significant role in the offensive. The rebels' advance proved too much for Assad's beleaguered forces, who crumbled after years of grinding warfare and international sanctions. With the rebels in control of Damascus, Assad's grip on power finally slipped away. The dictator's whereabouts remain unknown, although rumors swirl that he may have sought refuge in Russia or Iran, two longtime allies. In the power vacuum left by Assad's flight, his Prime Minister Mohammad Ghazi Jalali has stepped in as a caretaker leader. Jalali has signaled his willingness to oversee a peaceful transition of power. However, the situation in Damascus remains tense and uncertain. Celebrations at the fall of the regime have been marred by sporadic looting and violence. The international community, while relieved to see the end of Assad's rule, is watching the situation in Syria with bated breath, uncertain of what the future holds for this war-torn nation. The Syrian civil war, which began in 2011 amidst the Arab Spring uprisings, has been a tragedy of immense proportions. What began as peaceful protests against Assad's authoritarian rule quickly escalated into a brutal civil war, fueled by sectarian tensions, foreign intervention, and the rise of extremist groups like ISIS. Over the course of the conflict, hundreds of thousands of Syrians have been killed, and millions more have been displaced from their homes. The war has left Syrian society deeply divided, with various factions vying for control of the country. The Syrian opposition, a diverse collection of groups with often conflicting ideologies, has struggled to present a united front against Assad. Meanwhile, foreign powers including Russia, Iran, the United States and Turkey have all intervened in the conflict, further complicating the situation. The fall of Assad presents both an opportunity and a challenge for Syria. With the dictator gone, there is a chance for a fresh start, for Syrians to come together and rebuild their shattered nation. However, the deep divisions within Syrian society, exacerbated by years of brutal conflict, will make achieving a lasting peace a daunting task. The role of HTS in the post-Assad era is particularly concerning. While the group has attempted to rebrand itself in recent years, distancing itself from its al-Qaeda roots and presenting a more moderate image, many remain skeptical of its true intentions. The group's dominance in parts of Syria raises fears that the country could simply be trading one form of authoritarianism for another. The international community has reacted to the fall of Assad with a mixture of caution and cautious optimism. The United Nations has called for an immediate ceasefire and the start of negotiations towards a political transition. The UN's Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, has emphasized the need for a Syrian-led and Syrian-owned political process, urging all parties to lay down their arms and engage in dialogue. The United States, while welcoming the end of Assad's rule, has expressed concern over the role of HTS in the opposition. The Biden administration has called for a negotiated settlement that includes all Syrian parties and respects the rights of all Syrians. Russia, a key ally of Assad, has reacted cautiously to the news of his downfall. While expressing sympathy for the Syrian people, the Kremlin has yet to comment on Assad's whereabouts or its plans for the future of its involvement in Syria. Iran, another major backer of Assad, has remained largely silent on the situation. However, the ransacking of the Iranian embassy in Damascus by jubilant crowds celebrating Assad's fall suggests that Tehran's influence in Syria may be waning. Other regional players, such as Turkey and Israel, are closely watching the situation in Syria, wary of the potential for further instability and violence. The international community faces a critical juncture in Syria. The fall of Assad presents an opportunity to end the long and bloody civil war and help the Syrian people rebuild their shattered nation. However, achieving a lasting peace will require a concerted and coordinated effort from all parties, both within Syria and on the international stage. The future of Syria remains shrouded in uncertainty. The fall of Assad marks the end of an era, but it is far from clear what will replace his regime. The country is fractured, its economy in ruins, and its people deeply divided. The challenges ahead are immense, and the path forward is fraught with peril. The most pressing task is to establish a stable and inclusive government that can begin the long and arduous process of rebuilding Syria. That will require all parties to the conflict, including the Syrian government, the opposition, and the international community, to come together and reach a negotiated settlement. The international community has a moral obligation to assist the Syrian people in this critical time. This will require providing humanitarian aid to those displaced by the conflict, supporting the rebuilding of Syria's infrastructure, and working to foster reconciliation and dialogue among the Syrian people. The fall of Bashar al-Assad is a watershed moment in the history of Syria. It is a moment filled with both hope and trepidation. The Syrian people, who have endured so much suffering, deserve a chance to build a brighter future for themselves and for generations to come. The international community must stand with them in this endeavor, providing support and guidance as they navigate the treacherous path from conflict to peace.